What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt Taville with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Kubrat Pulev. Of course, Kubrat Pulev is the mandatory challenger for Anthony Joshua's IBF belt, and he had this to say about Dillian, the body snatcher White. He says Dillian White is a disgrace to boxing. And this is what he said in further detail. He said Dillian White is the biggest coward in the entire heavyweight division. He's a disgrace to boxing, said Pulev. He had 3 chances to fight for the world titles and rejected them all. One of them was against me for an IBF mandatory spot, which Hughie Fury eventually took. And why does he want a rematch with Anthony Joshua now when he had the golden opportunity to fight him last May in Joshua's last voluntary defense and turned it down? They shared the same promoter. Wow. Pulev also continued by saying that both White and Tyson have the biggest mouths in the entire sport. The only difference being that he thinks Fury actually has some balls. So to that end, Pulev says that once he takes care of business against the unified title holder, Anthony Joshua, he'll gladly take on either fighter. Wow. I guess Pulev didn't like the idea of Dillian White calling him a cabbage or a half man, half vegetable. And it was one of those things where Dillian White went hard on Kubrat Pulev. And I looked up, Pulev's record. I mean, he doesn't have a bad record. I mean, he has some pretty decent wins, He did get destroyed by Klitschko, but I mean, who really hasn't besides Tyson Fury? Deontay Wilder never fought him. Anthony Joshua got knocked down by him and almost stopped by him. So, I mean, it really ain't that bad of a loss. And that's his only loss. And as I counterpunched the other day, Dillian White has the loss to Anthony Joshua, which Kubrat Pulev will be fighting, and we'll see how that pans out. Now, to counterpunch what Pulev said in the rest of his explanation on why he was a coward, he said he had the golden opportunity to fight him as a voluntary. Well, you know what? He actually did. Regardless of how the money was going to be split and all that, Dillian White had an opportunity. I mean, that was laid in. It was dug for him. It's just like the money again wasn't the best thing, and I think that Dillian White made a decision, and he made a decision not to fight. Now, he did have that opportunity, the golden opportunity, because if you can remember, when Dillian White lost to Anthony Joshua, it wasn't for world titles, okay? So it didn't have anything to really do with the reward of beating Joshua, just for the fact that's the only person that gave you a loss. Fair play to White. He beat Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, right? But when it came to the pros, he got knocked out, okay? And it was a pretty vicious knockout too, I might add. It was one of those, like eyes are rolling around in the back of his head type of knockouts. So, but fair play, both of these guys have been viciously knocked out by 2 punches. And the IBF, which he did stop Hughie Fury for, and it's just amazing to me how people have opinions about each other, because Pulev, I would like to see Pulev take on Dillian White, because after all, the guy that Dillian White is supposed to fight is older than Kubrat Pulev. So, that would be a fight I would be interested in seeing how that would pan out. Okay. So, it's interesting, man, because it just shows you that there's always life after. There's always so many avenues and ways that boxing can go these days. See, with Pulev, if Pulev wins, he's the unified champion of the world. And he said, I'll gladly fight any of those guys. And that would easily happen. Because if you think about it, if Pulev beats Joshua and he takes those belts, okay, then Fury handles business and with Deontay Wilder, that would be the next fight that would happen. Okay? Unless, it came to that deadline, then White would get his chance against Tyson Fury, but then White would have to fight Pulev if he wanted to unify. Right? Because there is, in a true mandatory, there is no rematch clause. Okay? It's a mandatory. That's one of the stipulations of being a true mandatory. And why I'm emphasizing true is because the mandatory fight was supposed to have been February 22nd, but we know that was no mandatory fight. That was not for a mandatory defense when Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder had that rematch. So, Pulev is a guy, he has a voice or whatnot. He got into a little trouble last year, but, we'll see what he can do against Anthony Joshua, But he does make some sense. Dillian White did have a lot of opportunities, unlike other fighters, okay? And he had first dibs on those as being a choice, okay? So, you have to really take it for what it is. But I like the trash talk once again because, these guys are going back and forth. Dillian White is going to speak whatever Dillian White's going to speak. And Kubrat Pulev, obviously, is he going to grab a chick and kiss her? He'll do anything and say anything too. So anyway, this looks fun for boxing. You guys tell me what you think about Pulev's comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.